Welcome to P3, I'm Randall Mark. This is the show that explores the fascinating people, places, and perspectives that make up our world. On today's show, we take you halfway around the world to Israel to explore some of the most ancient cave systems in the world. This is P3. Less than a kilometer from the site where David killed Goliath begins an elaborate system of caves that have been carved out of the limestone by hand. Bet Gurvin Marasha is now an Israeli national park and is a place where scholars think David hid while being chased by King Saul in ancient times. Ami Dotan, an alumni of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and professional tour guide, took me into this underground world. I'm standing in a very significant spot between the west coast by Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. Where are we and what am I about to do?
Actually, where we are is the transition between the lowlands of Israel, where the Philistines in biblical times used to live, and the mountains where the Jewish population used to live. A lot of fighting went over here in this area, like David and Goliath maybe is the most famous one, which was also in this area. In a later period, like 200 BC, this area was used as cave land. Okay, people dug the caves inside for various uses, which we'll talk about when we see them. And even later periods, people used them as hiding places against or the Roman army who used to hunt them, the Jewish rebellions that we talked about. So what you're going to do, you're going to act the Jew who is running away from the Romans, crawling inside and getting out of sight altogether.
So I get to crawl down into these vast limestone caves dug by human hand, and I get to explore something that takes me back 2,000 years.
I suggest you start crawling, and I hope we see you on the other side of the cave, eh? Let's go.
What am I about to see? Because this is unbelievable.
First of all, I'm happy you survived the tunnel. That's the first thing. But what is incredible is what we see over here. It's called the Columbarium Cave. Columba in Greek, ancient Greek, is a dove. And what these things were used for, or this cave was used for growing doves, for sacrifice, for using their dung for fertilizers, and so on. So this is actually a dove house.
So all these little holes I'm seeing on the wall are places where doves would live.
Exactly. Exactly.
But people, how many people would live in this whole labyrinth of cave system?
No. Over here, people did not live. That was for the doves.
Okay.
People lived and worked in other caves, which we are going to see next.
But this is just for the doves.
Exactly.
All carved out by hand.
All carved by hand. Very soft material. Very comfortable. We'll talk about it as well.
Let me go. I'm going to go check it out.
Go ahead. Let's go together.
I'm just amazed at the complexity of this place. Now, these people lived during the same time as Alexander the Great?
A bit later, after he has conquered all of this area, then a lot of the Greek culture remained over here. A lot of Greek worship remained over here. We'll see it in later places in this cave system as well. And over here you can see that it's made like a cross, but nothing to do with Christianity. It was before Christ, okay? And I think what we're going to see next is why they worked underground, because out there it's so warm, so hot, the weather, and over here it's cool and nice. So it made sense to live and work and stay underground for long periods.
Let's go check that out. Okay, so the next thing we're going to is the fig press?
Not fig, oil press.
Oil press, okay.
Olive oil is so important in Middle Eastern culture, still is. That we'll see how they process it, and we could see all around us also the olive groves and the olive plantations that still grow in Israel all over, and in the Mediterranean, obviously Greece, Italy, and other places as well.
Okay,
so let's go and see the olive press.
Oil press, let's go. We're looking at an ancient 2,000-year-old olive press to get oil. Explain how it worked.
2,300, to be exact, more or less. And the way it worked is that they would bring the olives, obviously, after they took them from the trees, they would bring them over here. They would put the olives in the canal of this stone over here. And if you allow me, an ox or a donkey or a person will just lift the log and start pushing like this, okay? And when the heavy stone over here rotates on top of the olives, then it crushes them. After the olives are crushed well enough, what they would do, they would take the olives, the crushed olives, they would put them in baskets, right? Yeah. Okay, we have baskets over here with crushed olives, obviously, and then they would lift up these rocks, the huge rocks that are over here, and thus put a lot of pressure on the baskets.
So that's squishing them down, and then the olive oils.
And the first olive that comes out is the virgin oil, the best oil that comes out of the baskets. And then all of the rest as well. Olive has an enormous importance. Like you anoint a king with olive oil. Like King Solomon, King David were all anointed with olive oil until in Greece time as well. The olive trees are incredibly important all over the Mediterranean, obviously in Israel as well.
It's incredible. This is the device that they would use, and it's still intact, that we get to actually experience it right in these caves. Incredible.
And so nice in the cave in this weather. But originally the caves were not for olive presses or for columbariums or for any other purpose other than a quarry. A quarry of the material that we see all around us that we use for building houses and building rocks and being plastered and whitewash and all of that material. This is a very good material for that. So that's a secondary use.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go check out the next place.
Let's go ahead.
Coming up next on P3, we visit the remains of a 2,300-year-old house in the most amazing basement you'll ever see. Stick around.